WNST task day that I have until I got to go to New England on Monday night will be used for football on Sunday, obviously Army-Navy on Saturday. But I'm going to check out the Caps on Sunday afternoon against the Vancouver Canucks. They're playing a lot of hockey every other day this week. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings in Owings Mills on Monday night doing our best seat promotion, and Caps are on taking on the Sabres. And I tell you, Ed Frankovic was on the scene. Dude, I can't imagine them playing any worse against a relatively trivial team here than playing the Buffalo Sabres on a sleepy Monday night. I mean, they sleptwalked through the first couple of periods, right, Ed?
Absolutely. They're playing basically a club that perennial cellar dweller. They're in rebuild mode, and they're playing with an AHL blue line because three of their best defensemen, Josh Georges, Zach Bogosian, and Dmitry Kulikov are out of the lineup with injury. So there's really no excuse for the effort the Capitals put out for 40 minutes. Those who follow me on Twitter know I pretty much hammered the team before the game and during the first 40 minutes. Alan May, I thought, had the line of the night on Comcast after the second period. Out-hustled, out-muscled, and out-hit. And apparently, after that second period, their coach got into him pretty good, too. And they started playing with about 15 minutes to go in the game. They're fortunate they were playing a very weak Buffalo team. They have a good set of forwards, but their defense is not very good, and they were able to rally and force overtime and win the game, basically on the backs of a few players and about a 15, 20-minute effort.
Well,
unacceptable the way it's been going.
I've known Trotzy 3 decades now, right? So, I've never really seen Trotzy mad at me, right? So over 30 years, we have a relationship where I don't want to say we've never had a crossword or, certainly we have dialogue back and forth. But, I don't even know what that looks like, him mad. And I know they've been captured on some reality shows and whatnot behind the scenes. And, we saw the way Bruce Boudreau led, right? We've seen, hundreds of coaches over the course of time. I don't know what that riot act looks like or how it comes to light, when the cameras are on or if there were cameras on, what that would look like, a version of Barry Trotz trying to motivate guys that he's with, that he fights with all the time. And the team just hasn't been playing well literally over the last week. Trotz came on a week ago with us. They had that long stretch off, and, I don't know that did them any good, right? I mean, they're hockey players. 5 days off sounds like a good idea until you have to go out on the fifth night and skate. And they have struggled here over the weekend, and, they're starting to look like an ordinary team, and I think there's something about the NHL. It's a lot like football right now, Eddie, where you have this bunching of 5-6, 6-5, 7-5. I mean, the NHL now, we're past the quarter pole, right? We're heading up on the third pole as far as how far the season has gone, and the amount of teams between 25 and 35 points is virtually 90% of the league, right? And they're finding themselves on the border every night that another bad week, they'll be in that 9th or 10th position, and that's a precarious place to be because then you get an injury, something happens to Ovechkin, something happens to Johansson, hope he can't play for a month or two. Strange things happen, and I think we're finding out in the NFL. We're finding Gronkowski the right time this week, and when it comes to the Capitals right now, last year they gave themselves so much margin, and then they couldn't get the Jets going again in May. They played their best hockey in November, December, January of last year. And the Ravens, we think, are playing their best football in December, which is where you need to be. And if they're going to make a late rally, that's great. But they better be careful as to where they are in playoff position because they damn near gave that game away on Monday night.
Well, there's a lot you've captured there and a lot that's very accurate, and especially compared to the NFL, I think is accurate. There's a lot of parity in the league, and the Capitals went into Monday night in 5th place in their division. And I wrote this at WNST following the game against Buffalo on Monday night. I said, look, the Capitals may have been taking this "it doesn't matter till the playoffs" mantra a little too seriously. We've seen it since Oshie. And you talk about injuries. Oshie is a difference maker for the Capitals. He's a guy that's going to win the one-on-one battles on the board. He has endless energy. His effort is always there, much like Jay Beagle. And Jay Beagle had a big goal on Monday night, and he's a big reason they won on Monday as well.
He also had a big penalty at the end of the game, too, Beagle. So, yeah, But he's been their best player this year.
Not giving effort.
Yeah, I mean, when I had Trotz on last week, Beagle has overperformed what you would expect for him more than anybody else on the roster.
Yeah, he has 5 goals, and you take Kuznetsov and Burakovsky and add them together, they got 5 goals. I mean,
It's
you would have
almost
made a
like your
lot of money
kicker
in
being
Vegas
your
betting that.
MVP or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kuznetsov and Burakovsky just not been playing hard at all. I mean, they're not doing the things you need to do. And Coach Trotz talked about it after the game on Monday night. We're getting too many shots from the perimeter. We're not going to the hard areas of the net. Marcus Johansson has 11 goals now. Most of those goals, if not all of them, have been in the paint. He's been going to the net. He deflects the Carlson shot, which John Carlson finally got a shot out net on the power play on Monday night, which was encouraging. And then his game winner was, sure, it's 3-on-3.
And he's not the most physical guy either in Johansson going to the net, to take care of himself against maybe some more physical defensemen. That's not necessarily his instinct or his game, right?
He's not as big as some of the other players. Now, he does have tree trunks for legs. He is so strong, lower body. He's sneaky strong. And he is definitely matured. He's definitely listened to his coaches and done what is necessary. And more of these guys have to do what Marcus is doing. He is going to the net. He's in front of the net on the power play. He's going. He's taking the hit. He's taking the cross check. Kuznetsov, Burakovsky, some of these guys just don't want to do that. And even Alex Ovechkin, you talk about Trotz not happy. So he did say after the win that after the second period, he did have some very choice words. He says it wasn't a lot, but it was very choice. But he said it was really up to that room to respond, and they had to do it themselves to get it to that level. So whatever they did after Trotz chewed them out, they got to that level. Now, following the game, Coach Trotz was asked about Alex Ovechkin, who has played very poorly since the hat trick against St. Louis the night before Thanksgiving. I think he has one goal since Oshie's been out, when they needed him to step up with a quality player like Oshie, their number one right wing out. They needed Ovechkin to step up. He hasn't. And the biggest thing, he's lazy on the ice. He's not moving his feet. He's taking terrible penalties. He took a stick penalty last night, and the referee.
Let's start this. He leads the team in penalty minutes. I mean, you can't have that. I mean, first off, you're putting the team in trouble on the power play, and more than that, you need to be on the ice, man. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and you have to be a leader in the work ethic department, and that's what he's not doing. He's not skating. He put a stick on the guy 3 or 4 times in the shift, and finally the referee had to call it. I mean, you can't keep playing that way. So Trotz mentioned after the win that when Mr. Ovechkin shows up on Tuesday, he's going to have some pretty harsh words for him. So those of you starting your day on Tuesday probably had a better start than Mr. Ovechkin's going to have, because the coach is not happy with the captain. He's not doing what's necessary to lead this team. And I think I know it's November and we've got 4+ months to the playoffs. But to your point, if you take these months off too much, you may not have that wiggle room to get into the playoffs in April. And they're sitting right now, they're 4th in their division.
There's something to be said for having to play hard late March and early April, right? I mean, a lot of those teams tend to do well in the playoffs once it's like where the Ravens are right now. If they're, going to be coming on, if they beat New England or hang in with New England, if they beat Pittsburgh, it's the only way they're going to get to the playoffs. In early January, everybody be saying, hey, they're playing their best right now. With the Capitals, I see the potential, same as you do. We saw all the lights go on for 90 days right around this time last year, quite frankly, where every other day you and I were getting together, and it was just a big love-in. I mean, it was whether they were going to win 3-1 or 4-0 every night, and how they were going to coast. This is a different team now, and this is really where Trotz is going to have to make the big bucks and sort of rally the troops, because they're not going to play this season from ahead. They're not going to be the 1 or the 2 or President's trophies and all that. I don't see that as possible right now unless they put the Jets on.
Yeah, it's still pretty early, but I agree. I don't think they're focused on that, but I think what they've gotten into is, after they lost to Pittsburgh in the spring, it's been all this talk about speed. And, yeah, that's nice. You want to play fast because Pittsburgh played fast. But Pittsburgh also played physical. And the Capitals made their living when they had that good run last year by playing physical, something they call heavy hockey, putting your body on the defense, forechecking. That has been gone from their game for most of these first 24 games or so. They have not been forechecking well. They have not been getting on the other team's defense. When's the last time Tom Wilson buried a defenseman behind the net and put some intimidation? I mean, let's face it, hockey is a physical game, and it's an aspect of the game that you need to use when you have size. And the Capitals have size, and they've gotten a little too much focus on the speed aspect of the game, and that's caused them to play soft. And I think that they've been soft as butter in a lot of areas, and I think they've got caught up in, well, we'll just outskate the team. Well, it's more than just speed. You have to use your body. You have to be physical. You have to win the one-on-one battles, and I think that's what caused Trotz to reach his boiling point after 40 minutes on Monday night.
Well, the Caps came back and won the game late. If you missed it, John Carlson with a blast and Marcus Johansson with a tip. And Johansson with 2 goals in the game, a 3-2 victory over the Buffalo Sabres on Monday night. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings. By the way, Wednesday night, we're going to be joined by Marshall Yanda. We're going to be out at Greenmount Station when the Capitals are playing. So come on out. You can watch the Caps while we talk to Marshall. It is an 8 o'clock face-off against the Boston Bruins. A home game, then up to Buffalo on Friday, back home against Vancouver on Sunday, and then they hit the road next week to the Island as well as down to Raleigh to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. I would say this at this point in the season. It's probably not a bad thing for the team that there's a little bit of an awakening going on, that after the second period they look up and they find themselves losing to an inferior team and feel that frustration and realize that they're not maximizing their potential at this point, and that the coach is upset. Twitter is upset. I would think that they would go back and watch the film of them giving pucks away, taking stupid penalties, not going into the corners for the pucks, not coming out of the corners with the pucks. All the things that have gone wrong here, and the fact that they're not going near the net, they're not getting rebounds, and they're not even shooting on the net in half cases. Playing around with the puck a bunch. I think when they watch that and they see that, there's got to be something internal that's going to light that fire here at this point, because they really are about to get to a little bit of a different part of their schedule, I think. I mean, the whole West Coast thing, they're now getting into some sort of syncopation where they're playing every other day for a little period of time here.
Yeah, and they're going to have to start facing some of their teams in their division here, and they've had a poor record outside of their 1-0-1 against Pittsburgh. They've had a poor record in the division, and they just haven't gotten up for several of these games. And you have to be a professional. You hear coaches talk about this all the time. It's about being a pro, coming in and doing your job. And there's just been too many guys on this team that haven't done it through these first 24 games. And one thing I did like that the coaches finally did, I've been writing about this at WNST.net for weeks. You and I have talked about it. I haven't liked the defensive pairings on the back end. I don't like the Carlson-Orlov pairing. They finally split that up in the third period on Monday night. They put Orlov with Niskanen, Carlson with Alsner, his old partner, and boom, suddenly we have some stability on the back end. So I'm hoping that they will continue with that. Coach Trotz talked afterwards that they were going to discuss that in their post-game with the coaches, and then on Tuesday, I really would like to see them stick with that and just get some balance. You got a Carlson and Orlov both like to rush the puck. You've got a Niskanen and Alsner that are really solid defensively. I really think a defensive pair works better when you have an offensive guy with a defensive guy, and I'd like to see them switch that. Maybe get Carlson going, because he has 0 goals in 24 games, and they need more from him.
Well, Trotz last week on this program and talked to me player by player, and I was kind of shocked at how outspoken he was. And I know you heard part of that. It's the first time we've gotten together and chatted about it. A football coach wouldn't talk like that in the middle of the season. Maybe a baseball manager of a certain ilk would. I mean, it almost felt like, Trotz wants everyone to know that he is underwhelmed by what he's seeing from these guys right now.
Yeah, there's not many guys that you could say they're performing well this season. You could go maybe Jay Beagle, TJ Oshie, but he's been hurt, and you can see how much he means to the team.
Johansson.
Marcus Johansson, and the goaltending. The goaltending's been phenomenal.
And Backstrom's been pretty good, too. We sort of take him for granted.
I give Backstrom, Backstrom has stepped up with Oshie. I give him.
But he sort of goes as Ovechkin goes. When Ovechkin's on fire, it's Backstrom that's the one with the matches, right? Literally.
Yes, he's the one feeding them. And Nicky's had some big goals. He had a big goal in Tampa on Saturday. Again, another game that Holtby keeps them in. They probably should have down 4 or 5-0 after 2 periods.
Oh my God, that was a disgrace. I mean, it was. I sat here and I'm like, I can't believe that this is what I subjected myself to on a Saturday night.
It was awful. They played once again. They played 20 minutes and got a point out of it, and that's just a bad habits are creeping into their game.
By the way, I hated the shootout Saturday night. Can I say that? I mean, every one of the shootout efforts looked gassed to me. It looked like they were disinterested in getting the second point. Yeah,
it was terrible. I mean, Kuznetsov made a nice move. That's about the that's the only thing he really did in that game because he was terrible. And then, and Ovechkin, Johansson's just not a breakaway guy. I'm not sure why he picked him. Maybe it was a reward because he was one of the few guys working hard. But you got to come in with some speed. I mean, the 2 Tampa shots in the shootout were both scored on speed. They came straight at Holtby with a lot of speed, and he can't read what they're going to do. And Ovechkin and Backstrom and Johansson kind of danced a little too much, and they lost the shootout. And again, the goaltending, Holtby, Grubauer have been keeping them in a lot of games while they haven't been putting out the effort, and that's going to have to change because these guys, their save percentages are quite high, up there, and that's just not going to last. And especially with the effort in front of them, there was a sequence Monday night against Buffalo where they get a goal because Ovechkin doesn't play the puck on the boards. They get lucky that it's challenged and it's offside, and then for 3 or 4 straight shifts, Buffalo just throws the kitchen sink at the Caps, and they have no pushback, and Buffalo finally scores. But Holtby, there could have been 3 or 4 goals there. Holtby kept a bunch of them out. So they're very fortunate that they played a weak team, because if they do that against the Flyers or the Rangers or the Penguins, although they'll be up for the Penguins, those teams will run them out of there. You can't have that kind of effort. They got to get back to, as the coach said after the game on Monday night, 60 minutes of hockey.
Well, Coach isn't happy. Eddie's not happy. Nestor's not happy, but it was a 3-2 overtime victory for the Caps over the Buffalo Sabres. Wednesday night, they get back after it down at the phone booth against the Boston Bruins. That's a national game. That's an 8 o'clock face-off. We're going to be up at Greenmount Station in Hampstead, Carroll County, counting the Christmas lights, drinking eggnog, and eating crab cakes with Marshall Yanda. We'll be swabbing for the Bowmare Registry, and for There Goes My Hero. Come on out, meet Marshall, and watch the Caps battle the Bruins. Friday night, they head off to Buffalo to take on the Sabres. Hopefully a better effort than they had on Monday night. And the Pagula family there as well, and the Vancouver Canucks on Sunday. I'm planning on taking that one in before I fly up to Foxborough for Monday. Ed Frankovic can be found out on Twitter at Ed Frankovic. Also Ed at WNST.net. He'll be banging around the phone booth on Wednesday night and tweeting at Ed Frankovic during the games as well. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm a very available individual. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.